Hey Goodheads, this video is to go over some common mistakes with your TED Talks and to explain some of my shorthand just in case any of you are too shy to come in and ask. So if you see a bracket and then another bracket and then the period, that means that you need an in-text citation there. Surprisingly, I would say like half of you didn't have in-text citations, which is a little scary, so that you're being marked on that. That is part of your grade. And if you don't do that, you might risk being risking any type of plagiarism issues. So in-text citations. Now, moving on. All of you loved saying the so-called. It's not like something is known as something. It's not like the so-called. When you say the so-called something, that makes it sound like it's called that, but like shouldn't be or something like that. Just don't. If you say the so-called in your paper, just get rid of it. Say something else. Please don't say that. Next, saying I, we, me, you, all those personal pronouns, don't. Let's say you can say it like once, but not I. Don't say I. Formal papers usually don't ever say I, ever. So if you're ever writing like a lab in chemistry, physics, or biology, you would never say like, I found out that I shouldn't use I in my papers. So just don't, no. Next, rhetorical questions. No. After seeing how you used your rhetorical questions and what your rhetorical questions were in your papers, all of them were very, very informal. So if you have a rhetorical question, select it and then delete it. And the cool thing about rhetorical questions is usually after you delete it, your paper is fine. Like you don't have to change that much after you delete a question because it doesn't actually add anything or change anything in your paper. And you get more words to use to actually say something more meaningful. Next, using the word so. Mr. Houston uses it all the time to connect thoughts together in class so that you can get this like steady pace of fun information in biology class. But it's very informal. If I'm talking to my boss or someone important that I need to speak formally to, I don't use so to connect sentences and thoughts. So in your paper, if you use the word so, it's usually informal. So again, just to be safe, just search and find all of your so's and change it to nicer, fancier words like however or moreover or like furthermore, instead of saying so, because usually so sounds mildly informal. Next, in terms of your in-text citations and the citation guide I sent you, so in MLA format, as I explained in class, they no longer have the date. So that's not a thing in MLA anymore. So for me, I said you can have, drop the pen. You can have the date, and that's okay with me. I won't take off marks if you do or if you don't. But technically, MLA format no longer has the date. So you can have the date with me, it's good practice, and that makes me know that you found the date. But like in your English classes or history classes or anywhere else where someone says MLA format, you don't have to follow my referencing guide that I made for you guys for biology. Okay, moving on. No quotes unless it's literally like to be or to not to be and something you can't change. All of the quotes I read in your rough drafts, you can change them, you can paraphrase them, you're good to go for it, don't quote. And then a lot of you used quotation marks around words inappropriately. So like, the cells did this, even though they were cells. So you only do the brackets if you're trying to show that like it's not the direct meaning of the word. So I think I read 3 papers where that was used correctly. So odds are you didn't, unfortunately. I'm sorry. So if you put quotes around random words to try to emphasize them, that's not what quotes are for. So as an example of how to do that correctly, you could say like, grade 9s are sometimes really like excited about TED Talks. So like you're not excited about TED Talks. It's okay, I get that. So I used excited in quotes because you're not actually excited. I'm just like excited. But here's the kicker. Doing that with the quotation marks and using it in that regard, 99% of the time, that's not a formal thing to do, and you don't do that in research papers. So at the end of the day, if you have like my so-called friends would be another example, that's not formal. So just gone. Don't do that. Don't do that. Next, saying actually, but, also, words like that. That's how you talk. Like, actually, what I wanted to say is more along the lines of blah, 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 blah. Or like, but Mr. Houston, blah, 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 blah. Also, I just wanted you to know, like, it's more informal. So in a formal research paper, just don't use actually, don't start sentences with and, but, or so. Don't use those words. Use more formal sounding, nicer words like, however, it has been demonstrated that yada, 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 yada. Next, run-on sentences. You guys love them. They're like your best friends. So with a sentence, you can have two ideas linked together by a thing that links things together. It's like, I went to the mall, first idea, and it was fun, second idea. If I said, I went to the mall and it was fun because I like ice cream. That's a run-on. You have three thoughts, three clauses in there, or whatever they are. No, you can have two. So you can have one word like and, or however, or furthermore, or because, or which, all of those things. You can't have more than that, or else it's a run-on. So a lot of people had run-ons. To go hand in hand with the run-ons, dashes. Don't use them. So yes, you can use them correctly. There is a way to use them, but 10 times out of 10, you usually don't. Therefore, I highly, highly recommend you just don't use dashes. So my motto in biology class with writing is usually death to dashes. I don't want to see them ever. So if you've written it in a dash, I have circled it, as in like, don't want to see this again, circled. And that usually made a lot of people have run-on sentences. So it's like, I went to the mall, dash. I really love malls because they're fun. That's a run-on. So you have three ideas. You used a dash instead of a comma or and. It's just like thought and other thought. Run-on sentence. Next, I've talked to most sections that had this in their section, but please keep in mind the sensitivity that you need when talking about certain things. The main one was autism. So if you're talking about autism or skin color, sometimes you can do it kind of insensitively. That's not a word. You can do it with some insensitivity, which means you're not really sensitive to the people who you are talking about. So just, if you have any questions about that, if you wrote about autism or skin pigmentation and you're not sure if you were sensitive or not sure about my comments on your paper, come see me. More than happy to help. Next, large versus big. When do you use the word large and when do you use the word big? So, big is when it's intangible, as in you cannot physically hold it in your hands or touch it. For instance, my ideas are big ideas. you can't hold my ideas in your hands. So they're big, if they're good, which I like to think they are sometimes. Anyways, large, like an elephant. An elephant is large. You never say the big elephant. It would be the large elephant because that can be in your hands. Hopefully not, it would crush you, but like, you get the idea. So the large room, the large piano, the large chair, big ideas, big thoughts that you never say that. Big other things that are intangible. I can't think of any, I'm sorry. Ideas is the best one I got. Next, medicatements. Some people use the word medicatements instead of medicines or medications. It is a word. It's just in all of the years I've been alive, being raised by 2 doctors, and my brother is a doctor, I've never actually heard this word. And I remember my first year, someone used this word, and I asked my parents what on earth a medicament is, and they said it is a word, but never have they used it. So my parents are semi-old now, so like that's a lot of decades of never having used this word, so we don't need to start now, so just use medications or medicines. And if you're confused about that, come in and ask me. I'll be more than happy to explain that. That was a lot, I'm sorry. Other things, indent paragraphs with a tab. So the tab button, I have no idea what that is, Nabugaski, but just spaces, no. Tab, yes. On my keyboard, it's red over here. That's why I keep doing it. Anyways. Paragraphs. So I know a lot of you at the start of this were confused about like organizing thoughts and like it's not an essay, so like the whole 5-paragraph essay kind of goes out the window. Some of you just wrote like intro, body, conclusion, done. That's okay, but your body paragraph that you had in there with all your information in it probably has more than one idea. So I would separate those. For those of you who had no paragraphs, I would definitely separate those. That would be very important. So just keep all that in mind. Yes, no person, no date and all that. If it's a credible source, it should have a person and a date. If you don't know who's telling you information, or you don't know the company, you should worry. If it has no date, you should also worry about your ability to find it. If you can't find it, might not be the best reference source you could find. And that's everything on my list. If there's anything more I can think of, I will let you know. And I will take a quick second to think about that right now. Oh yeah, just some of the short forms. GR, or like a weird looking thing in an R, that's grammar. AWK is it's awkward, so pretty much the same thing. You said something slightly weirdly. IC is information check. INF is informal. And then I just started usually just circling things or underlining things as in like, this is wrong, you need to look at this. So if you have any questions about the whole like, this is wrong, you need to look at this stuff, again, please come and see me. So I hope that helped. If that didn't help, just come in and see me, bring your TED Talk in hand, and I can go through it with you, not a problem. And the last thing about your TED Talks is they will be due the day you have class on the week of the 14th of December. And you will have 3 days to hand it in. So the first day it's minus 5%, second day it's 10, third day it's 15, after that it's 0. So to make that work, the due date on Turnitin will be 3 days after it is due. So for instance, if you're a 9/8 or 9/6, yours will be due on December 14th. But on Turnitin, it will say it is due on the 17th, because that will allow you to have 3 late days to hand it in. So if you hand it in on the 15th, that's 5%, 16th is 10, 17th is 15, then after that it closes and all gone, no more chance to hand in your TED Talk. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know, but hopefully all of you will hand it in either before the day it's due or on the day it is due, and everything will be okay and fine and dandy, and everyone will be happy. And little quick tidbit at the end, your bonus assignment, I think I'm going to make due for the first week you're back, because that will give me some time to look it over before all of your exams and other nästa is due. So first week back after, so that's like the January 4th, 5th or so. So I'll probably make it all due on Friday, and I'll be probably making it due on Turnitin, unless like you've like made something. Yes, so if you have questions about that, let me know, and I will send out that due date now. Okay, I think that's all. If you have questions, let me know. If not, uspech. All right, ciao.